Hey everybody, Dr. Meri Crowley for Now is the Time. I was just on an interview with Juan O. Savin, and actually he dropped out because I guess the power went out in the building. So we're over the target. So I just felt led to let's just do another short show instead of trying to edit it and everything, because that already wrapped up the show talking about the Red Sea moment, because that's where we're at actually. Today's program is sponsored by QE Strong Pain and Allergy. Let's run that commercial, please.
The quantum effect wipes out pain and allergy symptoms in less than 30 seconds with zero drugs. Pastor Dave and hundreds of others have experienced the quantum effect for themselves. It's backed by scientific research and rigorous lab testing. Quantum is simply about two things. One, intentions, as a man thinketh, so he is. And two, renewing your mind with the Word of God. Only QE Strong encodes key intentions and Bible verses about healing onto the small patch. You simply place it on your body each day, and with a bonus prayer guide, read out loud a positive intention and one or two Bible verses about healing each day. The patch provides the touch, and the prayer guide uses your sight, speech, and hearing to relieve pain and allergy symptoms with the senses God gave you. It even works for people who have suffered decades of chronic symptoms. Are you ready to experience the quantum effect? Go to QEstrong.com/Meri.
Yes, so these are great patches. You can go to QEstrong.com, put in my promo code Meri, M-E-R-I, right in the middle of America, and it really does help. They have a number of patches, including pain, allergy, anti-anxiety, even a keto patch for losing weight. They really do work. So anyway, round two. All of a sudden we were doing our interview and you just dropped out, and you said what, the power went out in the hotel?
Yeah, normally you wouldn't lose cell just because of power, but I believe we were on the Wi-Fi side, and that was local to me, and I couldn't get the cell to come back on either. So I apologize, but out of my control. I had meetings here over the last many days. I just sent off a delegation from another country here in the region back to the airport a few hours ago, and so this has been important time here, and you just have to consider what's going on around the world, not just in the United States, but a lot of the fight back against these globalista who, at a nation state level, are attacking the American system. That's just now pivoting. And even with Dr. Fauci's testimony of the last couple of days ago, remember this, that COVID was not about just the biological attack. It was ultimately precisely about a voting attack, attacking the election systems around the world. And so we're in a different type of fight than most people have begun to realize yet. And lots of drama ahead at the nation state level. And especially with what will happen next in the United States, a pause in the election process, and then several states, led by California, by where you're at, trying to assert that they have the legal authority and necessity to push back against President Trump and the national pause and go forward with their elections.
Well, now
And
going
so,
back to Fauci really quick,
yeah.
because he was pardoned by Biden, he was not supposed to be able to take the fifth. Is that correct?
Yeah, the taking the fifth negates his pardon terms. But the other side of the coin is the reason he's doing that is because Trump has already asserted that he's not going to honor and has directed the Justice Department not to honor the pardons which were done by the auto pen. So Fauci's pardon is in that category. So a hell of a fight is just ahead.
Mm.
And so, on advice of his legal counsel, if that pardon from the Biden administration isn't going to be valid, then he's on the hook. And by the way, Remember, Trump said, "I'm 46,"
Yeah.
to the consternation of generals and admirals and politicians and everybody else. And so, of course, because of that, they want to call him nuts. Well, if he never gave up nuclear command and control, which he didn't, that's what the raid at Mar-a-Lago was about, was getting the biscuit, which is the card with the nuclear codes, which they never got.
Well, they even went looking at
And Biden's own stuff doesn't. You're saying that Trump remained in power. There's some kind of a covert operation taking place, and so any alleged pardon and its validity on Biden's part are all in question. If we were attacked by China, which Trump said in his Thursday night presentation 2 weeks ago, a lot of stuff is in play. Fauci is in a very tough spot, and all the people after him. The pivot has just started, by the way. So that was the pivot. So,
well, looking for the biscuit in Melania's underwear drawer, I think that would have been a good place to hide it, right? I mean,
well,
whatever.
no, actually, legally, and this is a very important point. When we came into the nuclear age and the NORAD system was established, put in play for continuity in government, facilities like Cheyenne Mountain and related facilities, there's 100 of them, approximately. Um, when yes, somebody's whispering where you're 107. Yeah, well, anyway, the reason that that's important, the biscuit, which has the nuclear codes, can never be handed to another person. Can't be handed to Melania. Here, I'm adjusting my tie. Would you hold this for a second? Can't be handed to Barron. Put this in your sock drawer. Uh, no other person. It must be on the commander in chief / president's person or within arm's reach at all times. But he cannot hand it to someone else to hold for him. That's why even getting him arrested, do a strip search, don't find it here with him. Where could it possibly be? It's in his safe at the house. If he had had the biscuit in his personal effects in the safe at Mar-a-Lago and then wandered around the property, he would have been in violation of his oaths related to having command and control of those codes from the moment that he took that. So he would have been in a breach of national security. As it was, what he did was, as he walked through Cheyenne Mountain, he left the biscuit in the only place on planet Earth where it could be left outside of his physical person or within arm's reach. And that was at Cheyenne Mountain in the safe. So, why is that relevant? It further proves my point. There's an ongoing operation that the majority of the public hasn't fully recognized yet. How did Trump maintain nuclear command and control if he didn't have the biscuit? If you remember, after he left office visibly, and Biden took office in the spring of 2021, Trump had an extensive medical exam done, which included his mental capacities. And in that, it was noted that he had perfect retention of within his memory, outside to an extreme, the norm for his age. Why was that needed for the guys inside Cheyenne Mountain for the nuclear command? He had memorized the biscuit and the response codes, action codes, and knew them by memory. He didn't need the biscuit. So he, in his person, and of course, if something happens to him, had he been killed at Butler or damaged, the three generals that run the Cheyenne system, continuous 24 hours a day, would have then had legal authority to take control in protecting the Constitution of the United States and the American citizens, and in this continuity situation. And by the way, there is a second group created under Carter called the Senior Executive Service. Every time Cheney had a fake heart attack, that's where he was. And he even laughed about it. I was running the shadow government. Yeah, well, they claim authority, including nuclear control, but they've never gotten it. They've tried to hijack and steal it over to their operations. In fact, when Trump came into office, 2025, in the first minutes after he took the oath and was sworn in the first minutes, he fired just under 10,000 SES employees. It's the largest agency of government most people have never heard of. And it's part of a much larger world system out through the British Commonwealth, identified as SERCO, SERCO, and Services Corporation. Uh, Between these two, tag teaming with other intelligence and continuity government groups around the world, they've tried to hijack control of the world for their oligarchs. And this is the fight that we're in the middle of right now. It's like a bad James Bond movie, Our Man Flint, with a cabal trying to take control of the world. And we are fighting back against that. And just so everybody here keeps it clearly in their mind, from the U.S. side, the group that's fighting that back is overwhelmingly Christian, practicing Christians in the military system. And so, for what it's worth, we're all in prayer together. And there's a lot at stake. So your prayer team can be in prayer about that. When President Trump announces a full stop on this midterm election, it's going to be for cause and in order to get it right. We can't proceed forward because the election's already been fixed.
Yeah.
It's fixed because you have primaries like what you just mentioned in California, where through fraud, certain persons are on the ballot now for the November election. So the election's already fixed. You can't fix it. It's already fixed in a mafioso sense. So the only way forward is to pause it, uh, and restart with the corrective actions in place, which have not been instituted thus far. A good example is that on March 25th of 2025, the 107th executive order of this term for President Trump, signed at 1:07 in the afternoon, I might add, was ordering that within 180 days, all of the county clerks across America with state level governors and secretaries of state oversight had to clean the voter rolls in every state, every county, so that you didn't have illegals or dead people or multiple ballots by individuals and false mail-ins and like that happening, so that we'd have a clean election here in the fall of 2020 or 2026 in its midterms. Not one county in America cleaned up the voter rolls. So we're going into this period without anything of substance having been done to correct the fraud of 2020. And when the president tells you that China interfered in our election, none of the things that were put in place so that China could fraud the 2020 election have changed. The only reason we got Trump in office is because of a military operation that blocked 3 T1 lines, which are high-speed communication lines out of Serbia, where the servers were located that were going to flip the vote in 2024. And those were locked up for about 36 hours and then opened back up once the voting was completed. Even Trump didn't breathe a sigh of relief until we had acknowledgement that he had won. And so we're in a different type of a fight than most people have any comprehension of.
Well, and just to articulate, interject briefly, remember Hillary's face?
Yeah.
I think they thought they had it. And of course, they were going to do us in with Hillary then. But so it was a miracle of God, act of God, in many ways, of course. But yeah, so keep going, Juan. I just remember
Well,
that night.
they were going to steal and in the process of stealing the election in 2016 and putting Hillary in. The difference was they hadn't planned on as extensive overwhelming of a win as Trump had done.
Yeah.
And as they came in and tried to dial in higher numbers with ballots and things like that, they just couldn't. It was an overwhelming win outside the margins of the cheat. That's why they came in this next time
Yeah.
with a far, far bigger cheat in 2020. According to the 2020 election, Biden got more votes than Obama did.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that just never happened. And, it's all in the record books now. The fight back now is to go through and literally take physical custody of the people involved in the cheat, not just here in America, but other places in the world. Gitmo's open for business. We haven't sent, anybody reporting something where the people are going to Gitmo right now. Only a very small handful of people have been sent there. It will be broadly reported public news within a few days after the main arrests, what's going on. And for understanding out across the world with reportage being allowed in person there on the facility. In fact, my chief of staff, Matt Meck, built the media facility at Gitmo when he was stationed there before his career in the Marines was ended. He's got quite a history. He was the first pilot to go feet dry into Iraq, other than a couple of stealth aircraft. He flew off a carrier deck, went feet dry, number one, and started trying to get the enemy to shoot at him with all their radars, and then went in and started killing them, killing their radar facilities. So he's, quite a guy. In fact, we had a conference that we did in Kansas City, I think 3 years ago, with unauthorized with our coalition. And as we were entering the facility, Matt says, "Hey, wait a second. There's my aircraft." It's pretty bad when the aircraft you're flying is now a museum piece. What's that say about you?
Well, let me ask you a question. When you talked about Biden and winning overwhelmingly, of course, cheating, you said there was 3 people or 4 people playing Biden. Why did they have him play so dumb? Why wouldn't they have him play like smart and like he was in control? And why did they have these actors play Biden that way, in your
Well,
opinion?
there's a uh, games are afoot, in part because there's been a fight back on the other side, uh, trying to control the narrative, and it's gone both ways with uh, this behind the scenes war. It's a real war. Um, uh, the the biggest issue is hearts and minds of America, and then the world. So you weren't ready as a people. America wasn't ready for the um, truth about what had happened within, say, COVID and other things because of the propaganda worldwide. And from an American perspective, from a Trump or even a Cheyenne Mountain perspective, uh, we've been in a war of information during all of this period of time, both sides, uh, in a continuity of government operation. And by the way, within the United States, senior executive service, um, knowing who the good guys and the bad guys are, you can't tell the players without a program. Many of the people involved have been flushed out during this time and had to pick a side. And I'll use an example: Admiral Rogers. He That was a card that had to be played very, very early on in this whole operation. When President Trump won in 2016, and then Hillary conceded the election, in the days after that, as we transited from Biden or from Obama into the Trump presidency, President Trump was working to screen people and appoint his designees for cabinet positions, various government agencies, etc., his transition staff, all sorts of things. And Admiral Rogers, arguably the most powerful job on planet Earth after the presidency, head of the National Security Agency. National Security Agency's budget is over 10 times larger than the CIA's, just to put it in perspective. It is arguably, apart from the presidency, the most powerful position on the planet. Head of the National Security Agency. They run all the spy stuff, satellites, everything. And Admiral Rogers, after his morning briefing, November 17th of 2016, without telling his secretarial staff, other people in the office, left by a side door out of his office with his briefcase, went to his vehicle, had his chauffeur take him to the front door there at Trump Tower, and rang the doorbell, figuratively. And yeah, Admiral Rogers, head of the National Security Agency, like to talk to President-elect Trump. Oh, really? Oh, well, okay, yeah, send him in. It doesn't really say anything. Just opens his briefcase, pulls out a bunch of papers, transcripts from that morning's briefing, and lo and behold, what's in it? The conversations that President Trump had had the previous evening and overnight, screening people for his new office as president. At that moment, it was understood that he was being surveilled by the Obama presidency and group only through presidential sanction and authorization could that have occurred under Obama. He pulled up stakes, moved, changed all of his communication stuff, changed a couple of people's staff, and continued on. He said all the way along, I was being surveilled illegally. That was based on what Admiral Rogers did. Admiral Rogers picked a side. It's incredible that he reached this most powerful position, and all of the deep state players never saw him coming, that they didn't see whose side he was actually going to land on. And you have those types of chicanery going on all through the government, all through the military. And that's why President Trump even called in all of the generals and flag officers, admirals, in Virginia shortly after he regained the presidency last spring, and read him in, who you're really working for. And it was during that time period this announcement, this statement by Trump was made. I was 46, although I don't really want to take credit for that. Everybody's had to pick a side. The turmoil within the government, military, political systems is transiting now with Fauci's testimony from a category 2 to a category 3 type storm. But that's far from over. Throughout the remainder of this year, with pause in the elections, and out through into next year with legal repercussions, including going to military courts and jurisdictions taking place outside of the normal justice system, to go after the treasonous traitors here in America and the collusive groups and people out across the world. It is going to get quite fractious. And there still is some kind of a standoff, Cuban Missile type crisis ahead, some of all fears moment. We have multiple missing nuclear devices. That's what they were looking for throughout the summer and fall of 2024, with all the drones reported up and down the East Coast and in other parts of the country and the world. Those devices have not been secured. In fact, the general who was running it from the Russian side was killed in what we call a scooter attack.
Yeah.
That was aided by personnel within the NATO and U.S. intelligence system. And his role, he was a very close personal friend of President Putin. His role was to track down the persons who had remanufactured trigger devices for at least two of those nukes, purportedly, and they have to be refreshed periodically because they have a shelf life. And those devices, those specific devices, that two or more of that particular type came out of Ukraine all the way back at the end of the Cold War, but were not viable at this point in time. So anyway, we have a hell of a fight ahead.
Well, let me ask you a question. You know, there's been some words, prophetic words from certain people that have said that there's traitors around Trump that are in his close proximity. Um, you know, almost like, what do you think about that in regards to some people have talked about JD Vance, you know,
Vance is not a traitor. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's people trying to cause dissension in the ranks around President Trump. Vance is no traitor. They can just stop that right now. Are there people that are still treasonous traitors around Trump? You absolutely guarantee that's true. In fact, someone inside the Situation Room, supposedly one of the most secure places on planet Earth, leaked a recorded conversation of President Trump while they were discussing the Epstein files, leaked it to the press. And interestingly, Trump only said 6 words. And his 6 words, you know, for all those people saying he's trying to stop the release of the Epstein information, in the briefing, in that recording, the president's advised that you could take down several governments around the world with the release of the Epstein files, uh, in Europe and other locations, and 2 political dynasties in America. Think about that. 2 political dynasties
I'm sure
would
one
come
of them
down
was
with the
the
release of the
person.
information of the Epstein files. So the reason I say that,
Yeah.
Mary, is this is far greater than most people have understood. And yet they say Trump doesn't want to release it. What does he say in that recorded thing in the Situation Room? Release it all. Every word. Put it out there to the public so the public knows what's going on with the Epstein stuff. So Trump wasn't trying to hold stuff back. That's what's in the recording. They tried to set him up. Who's the traitor? When you go into that area, you don't take your cell phone with you. You're not supposed to have any kind of an external recording device. How did that happen? Okay. We have plenty of traitors still, including the military system. And that's why this intervening period has been here to weed them out, including all of those folks over at Senior Executive Service, many of whom think they're doing something important. I've talked to numerous of them, but at the highest levels, it's a hijacked operation. It's part of the piracy of America that's going on. So I see the kids coming over to vacuum, and I actually uh, put a little bit of my uh, chopped peanuts and spices. Got them on the carpet here, so I'm going to let them come over and do that. So
Well, we're kind of just doing part 2. You dropped out because of a power outage. You know, as we were just going to do a short one, it was just easier to really start another interview podcast, a short one. And so, Juan, you know, you've got the Storm Summit coming up here. Let's put up the flyer for Juan's event. What are the dates of that, Juan?
September 10th to the 13th, we'll be showing the first 2 episodes of Roseanne's new TV series, which is absolutely hysterical. And it's about commies invading America. It's completely over top. Randy Quaid actually plays me in the TV show, so you'll get a huge kick out of it. And then we have Dark Horse, Jim Caviezel's new movie, playing. Also, we have a delegation from Brazil, a delegation from South Korea coming to the event, and it's it's a limited number that are there. We sold out the last one, and I'm sure we'll sell this one out too. So we've already sold out 2 of the hotels, and so part of the reason for registering early is securing the discounted hotel space, which is deeply discounted. And for those that want to attend,
And where do
And
they
then, of
get their
course,
tickets?
uh,
What website,
uh,
Juan?
unauthorized dot one ONE. Unauthorized dot one is our 501c4 that we use for the coalition, and not for profit. We're definitely not making any profits. I had to put quite a bit into do the last two personally. Um, but excellent events. We don't want people to have to go anywhere for food and other stuff, so we feed you while we're there, and it's good food. And uh, of course, two major premieres, Dark Horse, and then Roseanne's new show, Mima. And then, by the way, Mima means secret, and so it's uh, Roseanne didn't even know it, but Mima in Chinese means secret. So
That's
it's very
funny.
funny because she's talking about the Chinese and intelligence operations, and she wakes up in her little hometown and realizes they're being invaded. It's just hysterical. Randy Quaid plays the sheriff in the town, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. So anyway, and then the other stuff, first night, opening night, I'm doing a presentation, um, architects of illusion, and we'll be talking about 9/11. I've got Kurt Weldon coming. He's presenting his new book on 9/11. He was a congressman. He was on the way to becoming the director of the um, Armed Services Committee in the House, one of the most powerful positions in government. And when they realized that he was going to lead a review, a reexamination of 9/11, they broke out everything to block him and stop him from coming into power, create all sorts of false narratives. His book discussing that and never before released information regarding 9/11, stuff that has never been put out in the public, is going to be presented. I've got several members of the Able Danger team who were looking at the operations infiltrating America and the threat, including aircraft, in that time period when this NATO operation, cover operation, was going on, and the practice that happened this spring of 2001 in preparation for 9/11. Uh, and by the way, just one quick aside, remember the threat against America is a global threat. The people involved, the agencies involved, the families involved uh, are extensive. And so trying to blame it on any one group where participation happened, you had multiple groups participating. This is a very important presentation, getting at the true roots of what happened on 9/11 and the need for a reinvestigation. Um, Much of what happened, in fact, you could not have had the theft of elections across the world and the 2020 election without 9/11. That solidified and centralized the intelligence gathering operations. America Homeland Security came from that, where you took all these different agencies that were compartmentalized and moved them under one roof where they could be more readily controlled. uh, the Patriot Act, which was already put together and suddenly, miraculously, within weeks after 9/11, becomes the law. The hijacking of America, hijacking of the ship of state of America by these pirates, could not have occurred without 9/11. We will be reviewing that. It's the first major reinvestigation, relook at 9/11 since the event itself. And the timing, the White House is watching. The timing is extremely important in conjunction with what the president's about to do. Be there, be square.
Well, anyway, thank you, Juan. Well, now also, in addition to your event, I am putting on my ninth Open the Heavens event in Branson, Missouri at the Mansion Theater, which was actually Wayne Newton's former theater. Clay Clark did an event there a few years ago for the Reawaken America tour. It holds 3,000 people, but the upper, balcony holds 1,000. So, we hope to have quite a few, but my event in Branson, it's all about opening portals over regions. I know Donna Rigney, who's actually done this quite a bit. In fact, when we did our first one in Mount Rushmore, one that you were invited to, and then you had to come in via Zoom because something came up. I think you were at RF a Robert Kennedy event in San Diego that you were asked to go to, and something
Mhm.
shifted. But Lloyd Brunson, there was a number of people there. Scott Bennett came, of course, he's no longer with us, and a number of people. But let me tell you, there was a significant sign that was over Mount Rushmore on Sunday. Many of us went down there, and we were praying. There was about 50 of us. There was several hundred at the actual event. But when I had interviewed Donna Rigney in May, somebody had emailed us from Canada saying that she had a dream that she was at the monument, looked up, and saw four, instead of the four presidents, she saw the Lion of the tribe of Judah, which was Jesus, as one of the faces. She saw Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, and then President Trump's face was in the other, the four presidents. And so this was a significant sign. So somebody was looking for us. It was, we met up above, then went down to the amphitheater down below, took a picture of the monument from up above, posted it on Facebook, and people started saying, wait a minute, there's a picture of President Trump in that little cloud. And when they looked at it, if I'd had just a blue sky background and one little picture, and in the cloud was President Trump's face. It wasn't AI, it wasn't manufactured. This guy had no clue. And people started saying in the comments, there's a picture of President Trump's face in the cloud. And so on Elijah's stream, Steve Schultz showed that, and it went viral. So I'm telling you, we're doing this, is opening the heavens over these regions. We've got Kathy O'Brien. Juan, you said that you're going to really try to make this one.
Oh no, I think I'll be there. But by the way, that first event, there was actually a specific um, situation that arose that beyond where I was at in San Diego, there was a specific threat that occurred that couldn't put other people at risk over. So it was to protect what was going on there. So just the way it is, I'll leave it at that for now.
Right. So saying everybody, I'll just tell you this. God is having us go to certain areas. This is the ninth one in 3 years. Governor Kristi Noem was actually going to come to the first one. Kelly Patterson, who wrote a book From Trafficked to Treasured, she was actually trafficked by an elite pedophile ring at 6 years old out of South Dakota. She'd become good friends with Governor Noem because one of Governor Noem's, wheelhouses to protect was anti-trafficking the children. And so Ashley Christie, Governor Noem, made Open the Heavens Day in South Dakota on June 3rd. And actually, Joe Donnell, who was a state legislator, read the proclamation on stage. So it was very significant. Second one was Chicago one. You were at that one. Third one was Champions Church, Winter Haven, Florida. Were at that one. And that's where you were prayed over. See, we pray over people. It's worship. I mean, it's a whole kind of different feel than some of these other events, but they're both important. And remember, you got a word. We were praying over you, and one of my friends, Joanna and David Harabedian, she gave you a word that God was going to have a protected Faraday cage around you, right?
Yeah, golden bars of a Faraday cage, and then uh, less than 48 hours later, um, uh, a I was in a crosswalk, major intersection, and a Jeep ran a red light, black Jeep, and at the last second, um, a car traveling the way it was supposed to, a gold little minivan, came through the intersection, hit the Jeep, and I had already the Jeep wasn't braking. There was no, they were just going to come through. So I probably was literally, probably real number about a second to a second and a half from being hit. And I was trying to decide if I was going to try to jump wide of the Jeep, which I didn't see that I was going to be able to do that, or try to get over the front of the Jeep and hit the windshield. I was literally preparing to jump in that instant. And this car hit it, and um, it deflected it just enough away from me. It didn't hit me. The van was hit hard enough that it flipped it on its roof, and it went about a football field away down the road, sliding out its roof. And it was a pretty dramatic thing. I think I probably sent you pictures of it. Fortunately, nobody was injured, but I thought the gold minivan and the idea of golden bars, and there was some other stuff going on at the time that uh, those efforts to interfere in things that we were doing were completely deflected, and so I took that as very much so um, a prophetic word. There was things that were in there also that did other stuff. So no, I'm
Yeah.
so much in that. Yeah,
Well,
no,
well,
I'm still
anyway,
eating.
well, we'll let you go, but I'll just say this: the thing with Branson, there's been prophetic words by Corey Ten Boom, who was actually the movie The Hiding Place was made. She was sovereignly on a clerical error was released from the Ravensbrück concentration camp. She was going to be scheduled to literally be eliminated the next day, and God used her around the globe. The Hiding Place became a phenomenal movie that Billy Graham Pictures put out, but she was flying over that region, and God showed her that there was going to be a great awakening in that region of Branson and the Tri Lakes area. So, you guys come, it's free registration. I am a nonprofit 501c3, but we do take up donation offerings. But then the $176 for the VIP before it's September 1st. Otherwise, it's, $196. You get a Saturday, luncheon. You have VIP seating and meet and greet with the speakers. In fact, Juan, when he's been at my other events, he's spent like 2, 3, 4 hours in the morning signing, books. And Scott McKay at the one in Florida said Juan was outside by his bus because we shut the church down, and he was there till like 2 in the morning or something, Juan, in front of Scott McKay's bus. So anyway, just be led of the Lord. Come to Juan's event, come to ours, and let's see the showdown that's getting ready to happen, where the devil's going to go down, and a great Red Sea moment at the door. So thank you, Juan, for coming on. I know it's
Of
probably
course.
12:30, 1 o'clock a.m. in the morning in Bangkok. We appreciate you doing a second part on this. Thanks for watching. Now is the time. Please subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell, and really invite as many people as you can to both events. And, we're going to open up the heavens in the heartland and at the Storm Summit in Vegas.